Welcome to Stevie's Little Book Corner. I gotta do a little book review, man. This is Pilgrim's Progress. I just finished it. It's a great book. It's a pretty book, too. Like, look at that. Look at how fancy that looks. I finally finished it. A good friend of mine, a brother in Christ that I met when I was in Kansas, he gave me that book. And before I left Kansas, I met him and his wife when I was there. And they, we hit it off pretty quickly because I told them what I was doing and whatever, and they've been through their own stuff with the Lord and whatever, like, and they're very well seasoned Christians themselves, and they gave me that book, and it has been probably the best book besides the Bible I think I've ever read, because it's by a guy named John Bunyan, okay? And so John Bunyan was a hardcore Christian. If you don't know who John Bunyan is, you should look into him. Paul Bunyan ain't got nothing on John Bunyan, alright? Well, John Bunyan, he was, I can't sit here and give you his whole biography, but basically he really suffered as a Christian. Like, he came from a really rough world and suffered as a Christian. He was in jail for being a Christian and all this other stuff. You should look into him. I'm not good at details about stuff, but thing is, he wrote Pilgrim's Progress, and you can tell when you read this book that it comes from somebody who knows what they're talking about and, really went through it for the Lord. Like, somebody, he really, again, just knew his stuff. This is written from the perspective of people that were really going through it in their walk with the Lord, right? And what a good book. I've been reading this thing on and off for, I think, like, it's been probably close to a year, something like that. Because I switch off between different books. I think I'm in between. I was on that one, and I think, I want to say, 3 other books. While and the Bible stays in rotation. Like, I go through the Bible every day, and whether that be on audio, listening to audio, or actually reading it, which that's becoming a rarity anymore. But I'm starting to get back into reading the Bible, but I still do most of it through listening because I can get a lot of the Bible in quickly with listening when I'm driving and eating and doing chores and whatever. But but Pilgrim's Progress is, if you are a Christian, I highly recommend that you read Pilgrim's Progress. It's a good book. There are a few mistakes, and I'll just read them off right now that I corrected in my copy of it, because there's if anybody else who reads this, I want them to know, there were some mistakes, and I didn't. Well, I don't remember all that they were. I thought I wrote them down. I just wrote the page numbers down. I'm not going to go hunting for them, but one instance, he said something about he's talking about, there's this guy that in there who, he came from the place where people partied all the time, and Vanity Fair, and he was talking about how, before he was, somebody who, didn't care about the Sabbath day, and it's like, well, we're not required to keep the Sabbath, so, but, John Bunyan probably didn't know that but he did know a lot of other things. And for a book that's like 304 pages, my copy is, for me to only find 3 mistakes, and honestly, they're pretty minor mistakes. Um, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. Um, and then there's just little stuff, and like honestly, and a lot of those mistakes that comes from the understanding of the times, right? Like, they didn't have things like Google where they could just look stuff up so easily, like we can today, right? But um, thing is though, but man, what an anointed human being John Bunyan must have been. Because reading Pilgrim's Progress, it was just such a good book, and I'd love to read some of his other works, because just wow, just wow. Um, Pilgrim's Progress was a very good book. Um, the and what it's about the if I'm gonna give a book review, I should probably review the book, huh? But I don't do book reviews, so this is the first one I've ever done. But he it's about this guy named Christian, and like, and they all got names, and they're like that, like, there's people like Mr. Byways, and Mr. It's all like descriptive of their character, right? And so it's a big allegorical book. And like, there's a guy named Christian, leaves this place where he's from called the City of Destruction. And yeah, and he goes on pilgrimage to the celestial city, which is all, of course, a euphemism for a Christian's walk, is a lifestyle and getting to heaven. And the whole book shows all these perils he comes up against, and how the Lord gets him through them, and whatever, and how the grace of God carries him through. And then there's a second part to the book where his wife, Christiana, goes and, with their kids, and does the same thing. But Christiana had more help. Christian had to blaze the trail. Christiana, she had it easy. She had it real easy. Her path was just so dang simple compared to Christians. Christians, it's like, oh, you gotta go, fight the demon Apollyon by yourself, and go and try not to kill yourself in this castle this giant lives in, who's threatening you or whatever. Like, try not to do that. Try not, And then, like, Christian had it so rough. And then Christiana, the whole way, or most of the way, she's like in good company. She's got escorts. She's got medicine to give her and her kids. And I guess, she was a woman with 4 kids and a female companion. But it's like, Christiana had it easy. The punches were pulled for her. But you know what? That's how grace actually is, though. Is like, some people got it super laxed. Some people do. Some people have to really freaking go through it. Like, And so, it's all dependent on God's purpose for you and your life, right? And so, the more you learn about the sovereignty of God, it's comforting. But then again, it's like, the Lord can do whatever He wants with me. Like, that's a spooky thing to think about. Sometimes, honestly, it's not. It's not a spooky thing, because it's the Lord. He's good, and He's going to make everything work out for the good always. But sometimes you got to go through some uncomfortable stuff to get there, right? So, yeah. But this book was just so good. It shows so much just about the Christian walk, and honestly, even like the second half where it was Christiana and her boys, it really showed other parts of it. Like Christian's walk was the more extreme end of it, you know. It really was. It was more of the you know, the struggle that can go into, and Christiana had struggles too. They did have struggles, but that was a different type, right? And through all of it, you've seen all these different characters and how things manifested with them and whatever. And it was just a really good illustration of what goes on in the Christian walk for different folks, you know, because we don't all have the same walk. We all do have different weaknesses. We have different characters and whatever. And, you know, this book put it really well. It was just a really thoughtful, good book. I mean, and if you're not a Christian, you'd probably read it and go, you know, okay, this is, you know, because the language is very old timey and whatever. And but if you're a Christian and you're sincere, you know, and if you're seasoned in your Christian walk, because if you're not very seasoned, it's just going to be like, well, yeah, I know all these things could happen. But when you have some experience and you know all the things that do happen, it's like, oh, I mean, it's valuable either way, because then, like, if you read it when you're early in your Christian walk, you can revert back to that and be like, oh, that's like out of Pilgrim's Progress. But like, the more seasoned you are and stuff, the more storms that you've went through, the more you can read a book like Pilgrim's Progress and just go, yes, that's exactly how it is too, you know. And then you can like really, it really helps you to appreciate that you're not so alone, that because sometimes it feels like you are when you have a, you know, maybe you've got some rough seasons with the Lord, and you know he's bringing you through some tough stuff, right? And sometimes it's just like, man, you know, you're just going through it, right? And but this book, like, it shows you that you are in good company, that you're not alone. Um, and that the fact that there have been other people, you know, like John Bunyan, who existed and, you know, had a rough time about it and whatever, but gleaned this much spiritual insight and just pure wisdom out of it. Man, good book. Really good book. Highly suggest it. Uh, like, yeah, I think that's about it. But just a really good book. Um, put it on your must read list. Your first book you need to be reading is the King James Version of the Bible. And after you read the canonical version, I suggest like twice, you need to read, I suggest you read the extra canonical stuff like the Apocrypha, the, which were books that were taken out of the Jewish Old Testament. I don't know why I said Jewish, but the Old Testament. Um, and they were deemed as like too like fantastical sometimes or whatever, like kind of like they were just lore. Um, but they're really important because like in the book of, I believe it's Second Esdras, which is one of the books the prophet Ezra wrote. Um, it talks about Jesus Christ by name. I mean, they literally say Jesus Christ by name. And so people that sleep on the Apocrypha, I'm like, yo, you need to read First and Second Esdras. Like, but that and the Book of Enoch, you know, I think everybody should read the Book of Enoch. And there's also the Book of Adam and Eve. There's all these other books that you should check out that are extra canonical books. And see, you know, compare, but be rooted in the Word first. The 1611 canonical King James Version Bible, right? And if you're reading English, that's the best version we got. People will tell you different. They don't know what they're talking about, like flat out. Like they'll because you look at them and be like Horton Westcott and yeah, Horton Westcott destroy. Once you find out who they are, you'll see why I don't advocate any version other than the King James version in English. You know, and check out Dr. Gail Riplinger for more on that. I may not agree with everything that woman has to say, but she raises some good points about that. So read the King James Version first. Get you a hold of Pilgrim's Progress. Read that. Very good book, but it really ain't going to amount to a hill of beans if you ain't read the Bible first. I mean, you'll get it, but there's things that there's so many biblical references. If you didn't read the Bible, you'd just be like, well, okay. Like, all right. It wouldn't have that punch to it. So, yeah. So do that. Check these books out. Hold up. Sorry if you heard cussing. There's people outside in the street there. Some dude just walks by busting out the F word. So sorry if you heard that. But the thing is, though, but where was I? That threw me off so bad. But yeah, King James Version Bible and the Apocrypha and the the Book of Enoch, Pilgrim's Progress. This stuff, it'll change your life. Like, if you are truly seeking and you truly want to know about the Lord, and if you are called, that's what I want to really say. If you are called, if you are saved, if you are a Christian, these books will change your life. I promise you. But make sure that you read them in order. Yeah. I think that's it. Be praying for me. And then peace out. Be good.